What's up, people, and welcome to, well, I don't know what to call this. It seems like the female space marine discourse rears its head every other month. You know, it kind of goes away for a little while, then it comes back, then it goes away, then it comes back. And, you know, even though Games Workshop has flat out said they don't have any plans on doing it, you know, it always somehow manages to turn into us versus them conversation, I guess you would say. Uh, Personally, I'm in the camp of we don't need them. We have other factions that are strictly female or are mixed between male and female. And of course, the Astartes, Space Marines, you have your all-male factions. Honestly, I don't even know why I'm making this video because it's been beaten to death. I even made a video a while back when this first popped up. And as you can see here, I've got a generic DeviantArt female Space Marine that somebody made, which I should probably credit the artist real quick. Let's see who this is. Evil Adrian AU. There we go. So now, that's who it is. Nobody can say I didn't say anything about the artist. Let's put this back. Alright. One thing that I've noticed, and this is what's going to be a little bit different from the other video, is that the side that argues against female Space Marines is usually the side that gets called bigots, racists, Nazis, istophobes, insert other buzzword here that you can think of that you would call right-wingers. But it's also the side that is strictly lore purism. And the problem is that if you're a lore purist, like I am, you get lumped in to the bad crowd, I guess you would say. Even though the only thing you want is for, you know, future works and existing works to stick to what is already known by the fandom. Now, Games Workshop has been saying for God knows how many years that Space Marines are strictly male for this specific reason. But then you have the other side coming in and going, well, lore isn't canon, canon doesn't matter, lore doesn't matter, all of this is for fun, it doesn't matter, but it matters to them. It matters to them that they get what they want. And what they want is more ESG, DEI, diversity, inclusiveness, etc. in a fantasy setting. If you want to argue for those things outside of the setting, that's perfectly fine. In fact, I think you probably should. You know, that's not necessarily a bad thing to have. But in a setting where, you know, everything has gone to shit, you know, the Imperium has expanded, you have giant space bugs that want to eat everything, you got fungus that grows arms and legs and decides it needs more DACA. It just doesn't work. And it boils down to the same arguments over and over and over and over and over and over again. That, well, we want to bring more people into the setting. Yeah, but you can do that. You can do that without trying to change things. That's how I've done it. That's how everybody I know has done it. And if you don't like the setting for what it is and what it has been, then it's probably not the setting for you. If you have to come into a fandom and be like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that person, I don't like you over there, and then you want to change everything to fit whatever your worldview is, that doesn't work. You're going to piss people off. And the problem, the main thing that bugs me about this is that all the identity politics people that argue for female Space Marines while they're acting like they're morally high and mighty and superior are usually some of the shittiest people I've had the pleasure of interacting with. And it's like, if you can't have a conversation like I'm having right now, where I can list reason A, reason B, and reason C as to why, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. Now, if Games Workshop comes out and somehow manages to change the lore to make this work, which, again, they haven't done, then who am I to argue with it? Who is anybody to argue with it? It's their setting. That's what they want to do. That's what they're going to do. But they haven't done it. And as far as I know, they don't have any plans of doing it. But the conversations always turn into this back and forth of, well, you just don't want it because you're a bigot. Or you just don't want it because you're a transphobe. Or you don't want it because you don't like women. Pretty sure I'm married. You know, you hear all the same insults being hurled from what is colloquially called Wokehammer. Of, you know, you're all a bunch of incel basement dwelling virgins. Well, I guess I'm doing it wrong then. At least on my end. I can't speak for anybody else. But on both sides, and I'm going to criticize both sides, on the left and on the right, both have a tendency to go overboard. You know, and I would be lying if I said that there weren't shitty people lumped into both sides, because there are. And it gets, from what I've seen, it starts to be off-putting to people that you want to bring into the setting. I am capable of bringing people in to the Warhammer 40k setting on lore alone. On my knowledge of the setting, on my knowledge of characters. I've got God knows how many books sitting behind me. And, you know, the people that you talk to that have no idea what it is, you gotta find a way to get them interested. Now, if you can't play a game, if you can't talk about the setting without injecting politics and injecting ideology and injecting personal feelings on quote-unquote IRL matters, then what are you even doing? It's not a game anymore. For you, it's a crusade. That's it. You're not there to enjoy the setting. You're there to change it to fit your ideological worldview. And to the credit of the, again, quote-unquote Chudhammer people, they're not trying to do that. They're just not. They want to keep things the way they are and enjoy the setting. Plain and simple. And again, I would be lying if I said that there weren't some shitty people on that side too. There are. But the argument is just this constant back and forth. Look, you want to tell people your pronouns? Fine. You want to identify as something else? Fine too. You're LGBTQIA+, that's also fine. That doesn't matter. What you do outside or in your personal time, personal life, is none of my business. I don't care. But don't try and inject it into something that is at least universally loved, and everybody just wants to enjoy the game. Everybody just wants to enjoy the setting. Nobody wants real life politics and ideology injected into something that's supposed to be a release, you know, something fun. We get enough of that outside and everywhere else on the internet. We don't need it on the tabletop. We just don't. You know, the average, I would have to say that the average 40k enjoyer, or at least I would like to think so, is like me, where, you know, for 10 plus years, this thing has been a certain way. It's been established a certain way. They haven't said anything otherwise about how the setting is going to be. They've made some stupid changes. I have to give them that on certain things, Primaris. But, you know, all of this somehow fits. It works. The reason I know that all of this is, as I called it earlier, a crusade, is because you don't hear any of those people that are arguing for female Space Marines bring up any other female character in the setting ever. At all. Lotara Saren, they never talk about her. Mika Lesk, they don't talk about her either. Ursula Creed, nope. Don't know where she is. I can keep going. Beckwin, don't talk about her. And on 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 and on. There are so many females, women represented in the setting, but it all boils down to what's on the screen, because that's what they want. They want it. They don't need it. They want it. There's a difference between want and need. This is a want. And I will be goddamned if these people will just argue tooth and nail that you have to have them. You know, it's shitty to not have them. But the setting has done just fine for X amount of years the way it is. And people still love it. And people are going to love it. And I have a funny feeling that when Henry Cavill's series comes out, whenever that may be, on Amazon, one of two things is going to happen. One, the show is going to bomb because they didn't listen to him and they just decided to go in whatever direction they wanted with the show, and everybody's going to hate it. Or he's going to do it right. He's going to stay true to the lore, and there's going to be an influx of people that want to learn about 40K. That's the only two ways this can go. Personally, I hope it goes the latter rather than the former. I would be more than happy if there was, a massive amount of people that are all of a sudden into 40K. That would be great. But with that comes its own problems, because then you're going to have a brand new crop of people that want to inject real life stuff into a sci-fi fantasy setting where it doesn't need to be. It's happened with other settings, and anybody that says that it hasn't is lying to themselves, because they know it has. Star Trek, Star Wars, D&D. I could go on about quote-unquote wokeness. I don't really care. None of those things are my cup of tea. I don't really give a shit what they do with it. What I do care about is Warhammer. Fantasy, Age of Sigmar can fuck off. 40K. That's it. That's my thing. That's what I like. And it's also tiresome. We don't need it. People want it. And it's just going to be a constant argument until one of two things happens. Either it's going to happen or it won't. And so far it hasn't. So this is my ramble, because it comes up every single year, every other month. And it's been beaten to death by both sides. Personally, I'm going to keep buying books. I'm going to keep buying minis. I'm going to keep painting. Just not engage. Because I don't do it in real life. Outside of the internet, which is where most of this discourse seems to happen, is in online spaces, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. I can't tell which side is winning, if you want to call it that, because genuinely, I haven't seen anything that says either side is winning. I think Games Workshop is just going to do what it's going to do. Then you have YouTubers getting involved, and I'm not going to be one of those people. I have never injected my own personal ideologies into any of my stuff. I don't plan on doing it. If for some reason I do start doing more Warhammer stuff on here, which I've considered, you're not going to hear me do that. Because it doesn't matter. There's no point. I'm not trying to grow a crop of, yes men and create this little virtual echo chamber of sycophants that want me to talk about why, representation and ideology and everything should be in Warhammer. That's not going to happen. And yeah, that's about it. I can't really think of anything else to say about this, because there's nothing to be said. Everything that has been said 1,000 times by many, many people. And hopefully this will be the last time I make this type of video. It's probably not going to be, because you always have big name creators all of a sudden getting up on the pedestal of why we need this thing, whatever it may be. And then, of course, the argument starts right back up again. And, takes a few weeks, then it goes away. Then somebody else does it, and the cycle starts over again. Look, as far as miniatures go, paint them how you want. You want to paint them rainbow colored with every single flag that exists out there for the LGBTQ community? Those are your minis. You paid for them. You can do what you want. You want to kit bash a bunch of female space marines on the tabletop and call them the, Crimson Women? That's fine too. Nobody's saying you can't do that. In fact, I would actually encourage that. But don't go injecting headcanon and trying to make it a real thing, because all you're going to do is piss people off. You know, the whole thing is to have fun. But because you like thing A, doesn't mean everybody else is going to like thing A. That's your thing A, not mine. I'm not going to say anything bad about it, because it's your thing. Now, if you start petitioning Games Workshop to make thing A actually thing A, then I might say something. And people have done that. They didn't go very far, but they did it. And those people, I really don't like. You know, I just don't. I'm happy with the way things are. And, you know, if the way things are turns into something else, then I will probably go along with it. But we're not there yet. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, your armies, do what you want with them.